It's time for Dog Talk on the Morning News, and we have Tristan Flynn from Jollytails on set. Maverick's in the house too, and he's excited.
Yes, he is.
He's been barking
very
all
wound
morning.
up this morning. Yeah, he's a little wound up. His
Maybe
mom
it's
just
the nice
got back
weather.
from a trip, so
okay.
his world has been a little different for a week, so he's all out of sorts.
All fired up.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
So I thought we'd talk about a pretty serious issue today, which is possession aggression or resource guarding. So that's when dogs use aggression to defend a resource. Sometimes that resource could be their food bowl. Sometimes it could be a bone or a chew, or it could even be the couch. So a lot of people are sometimes uncomfortable that their dog might actually defend or use aggression for a resource. So what are the signs of that? Well, if you have a dog who, when you give them a bone, they take it way off into the corner, and if you try to go near them, they eat it faster, or they freeze, or the very real sign, which is growling. And so some people might even be uncomfortable about taking an object. And what we really need to dispel is this idea around dominance and alpha, which is that you are not given a God-given right to just take everything away from your dog. Because in the dog world, when they have something, it's theirs. So if you take it from them, you're essentially being a thief. It'd be the same way as I just took your purse and walked away with it. So that's how dogs see it. But we think that we should just be able to take whatever we want. So people miss out on teaching their dog about sharing. So if I teach my dog that I'm just going to share things with them and I'm not there to just take, then the dog won't use aggression to defend those resources. So I thought I'd show people some tips today on what they can do to prevent this issue from ever happening, or to maybe work with a dog who might be showing some early signs of it.
Right, and you said one of the signs was simply if a dog maybe just runs off to the corner with the bone, because a lot of dogs do that.
Yep, so if I give Maverick a chew, he's more likely to actually just eat it in front of us because he's very comfortable with our presence. He's not going to try to go away. So that's not the only sign, but it can certainly be one of the early signs. So the first thing is food bowls. So you don't want a dog to be possessive around their food bowl. So what you can start with is you can actually have some food, and you can just put the food actually in the bowl while you're holding it. So Maverick actually sees me with the food, putting it in his bowl, and then he gets to eat it. Yeah.
That's a cool bowl, by
Yeah, this is a slow feed bowl. So for big dogs like this, you don't want them eating fast. So this is actually a slow feed bowl. It just has a raised middle. Yeah, it's really important for things like bloat, so that your dog doesn't eat their food too quickly. So I can just let him see that I'm the one putting it in the bowl.
I need one of those.
Now, if you want to get your dog used to people around their food bowl while they're eating, what you can actually do, yeah, he's making a big mess, is I'm going to
excited to be here.
Put some food in his bowl, and then if Maverick was actually eating his food bowl at home, I could come by and actually throw some treats in his bowl. So these are actually better than the kibble he's eating. I can pet him, and then I can toss another treat in the bowl. So he sees that when I come near him with his bowl, or if I touch him with his bowl, that I actually add things to his bowl.
Okay, so he's completely okay with it at that point. He's very comfortable.
Right, so he doesn't think I'm going to take it away from him. You can even do some smaller meals, so I can even pick the bowl up, add some more, and give it back to him. But a lot of people like to tell me, well, I'll touch my dog's food when he's eating, or I'll touch him when he's eating so he gets used to it. But you're not really helping unless you're adding something better to the situation.
Exactly.
So I would always take some treats and just throw it into the dog's bowl while they're eating. And if you have children in the house, you should do that in a supervised way as well, because again, resource guarding is a big reason why dogs can tend to bite children, because the children go near them when they have objects, or the children drop things and they try to take things from the dog. So it's a really important issue if you have kids.
What about with like toys?
So same thing with possession of objects. So if Maverick, if I put some kibble in a Kong toy and I give it to him and he's got the toy, if I want to get that away from him, rather than just take it, it's better if I actually do a trade with him. Maddie, what's this?
So you need to have something better. You need to have a better treat.
Yep. So I give him a better treat. I take the toy away from him, and he sees that.
He's okay with it.
And then I can actually refill it again and give it back.
He's getting quite the meal this morning.
Yeah. And that is what he is all about sometimes.
He's loving it.
And then I can just do a trade, and I can get the object back.
Would you suggest for people getting a puppy, they start this right off the bat?
Absolutely, yep, very, very important.
Okay.
So another thing is if you have a very high value chew, so you have something, let's say like a pig ear or a bone that the dog is eating, sometimes you can't actually trade them for anything better. Oh my goodness, choking on a kibble. Sometimes you can't actually trade them for anything better. So one of the ways around that is you can actually hold it for the dog. So rather than just give Maverick a chew like this, I'm actually going to just hold it and let him chew it while I hold on to it.
Okay.
And what I'll teach him is that my hands there are actually designed to help him eat it. So he won't see me coming for his chew as, oh, look, this guy's coming to take it away, but rather he's coming to help me eat and make sure that I can get that chew right on my big back teeth and really get into it. So I want him to see my hands as something helpful.
Okay.
And so again, you can take your hand off it briefly. Now, as soon as you've kind of done this, now I've relinquished it to Maverick. So again, in his world, this has now become his. So if he is not comfortable with sharing, and if we haven't taught him about sharing, you could get a growl or you could get a freeze, and that's not good. We don't want that to escalate.
We're running out of time here, but I just have one quick question. What about people who maybe adopt a dog who does have these problems?
Right, so you want to definitely get with a professional, but these are tips that can really help. And dogs that are really susceptible to resource guarding are dogs coming from shelters because they have been deprived of resources. So a way that this problem gets created is dogs that are getting like the same old bland, cheap food over and over and over. So if you're buying your dog a cheap grocery store food and that's all they ever get, when they do find something novel or something on the ground or they get a piece of your food, they're going to defend it because they want it so badly. If your dog is getting novel food and lots of different things, then they're not going to defend it. It's like someone who doesn't have a lot of money. You know, you're going to defend that because it's a very valued resource, whereas if you have a lot of it, it's not a big deal. So it's very important that you set your dog up for success. You don't have limited resources. If you have multiple dogs in your home, you would never just give them one bone and have the other two standing around because you're setting the dogs up for conflict. It'd be much better to have multiple resources.
Unfortunately, we're totally out of time, but I know that you do have some exciting news about Jollytails. You have a new location?
Yes, so Jollytails 2 is open at 6410 Lady Hammond. It's also the location of the new 24-hour veterinary hospital. So that's the first 24-hour veterinary hospital in Halifax called Four Paws, and it's located in the same building as Jollytails 2, 6410 Lady Hammond. Drop by, check it out.
Awesome stuff. If you want to drop by Jollytails, here's the way you can do so. You can also find them on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks so much for coming in, Tristan. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Alex.